My name is Allie, and welcome to Funny Fat Friend, a podcast about this bodacious biracial babe trying to find herself in film. Here's an update. We have been protesting here in Louisville for 155 days for justice. I'm going to post a link, again, to the wish list of supplies we are in constant need of here for protesters. And, if you can, please continue to give to the Louisville Bail Fund as well. And finally, you better get your ass out there and vote. If you request an absentee ballot and are in your county, I recommend dropping it off at a polling place instead of putting it back in the mail at this point to make sure that your vote gets counted. Make a plan about how you're going to vote and go do it. All right. It's ooky spooky times, right? It is Halloween week. So, I pulled out my scariest movie. Okay, honestly, as a kid, this was like one of the scariest movies I ever watched. But I hadn't seen it since I was a kid. The film we're going to talk about today is Haunted Mansion, which is, I think, my first Disney movie that we're talking about, which is pretty shocking since they own everything, right? But yeah, so sick. Here we go. Haunted Mansion. It is from 2003, so I was 10. I was 10 when this came out. It had a budget of $90 million. It made $128 million, and it's Disney's fifth movie based on one of their theme park attractions, which was so bonkers to me. I had no idea there were 5. They've done at least 5. At this point, it was the 5th one. I didn't look up if there have been more. I assume there have been more. Well, if we count all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, there are like 100 movies. But yeah, the other ones based on Disney theme park rides are Tower of Terror, Mission to Mars, The Country Bears, which is absolutely the most bonkers movie that I have ever seen, and I cannot believe I have not done it yet. Please, if you have seen Country Bears, reach out to me, because I have never met anyone else who has ever seen that film. Please, I need to know that I'm not crazy. Well, I am, but that I'm not alone, you know? And then, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, Black Pearl, Curse of the Black Pearl came out before this. And anything else? Oh, yeah. It stars Eddie Murphy. And this is like the Eddie Murphy golden age, I think, right? It's like the end of the Will Smith golden age was like the beginning of the Eddie Murphy golden age, I think. Well, in my opinion. I was a child, and I liked everything that he did. So that doesn't mean that it was good, but oh, he was like my favorite. Eddie Murphy, for sure, was one of my favorite actors alive when I was a child. I guess it's a little different now. I don't love him as much anymore, but I still do have very, very deep fondness for Eddie Murphy as an actor. Probably not as a person, but it's okay. You know? People are different. All right, cool. So let's get into it. Ooh. So we open, and there's a storm. And I do appreciate the opening Disney logo usually does like incorporate the film in some way, even at the very beginning. And so we see like the castle, and then a storm starts, and we see like the lightning, and so that's fun. They have the money, they can do anything. So yeah, there's a storm, and we hear a voiceover say, "Welcome, foolish mortals." Ooh, I know that got me immediately. I bet I pissed myself immediately. If you think that I'm a scaredy cat now, oh my god, yeah, as a child, it was definitely only worse. Oh, jeez. Yeah. So we get the opening credits, and spliced in between, like, the cards, there's a masquerade party happening, and then we see someone writing a pretty note, and someone reading the note, and they get all scared, and then a hand falls holding a wine glass. Then there's a man carrying a woman who is presumably dead. We do not know, but he is struggling to carry this woman. And then there's an upset man, and then that man is hanging in the house. And that was the opening credits. That's a lot. Yeah? That's the most intense opening credits I think we've ever discussed. That is so much exposition, but it's done so well. What are those called? I don't remember. It was some theater thing, and I don't remember the word for it. Tableau. Yes, they use tableaus, these, like, pictures, but, like, of actual, like, people, whatever. But, like, little pieces that told the story. It was really good. Good job. All right, and then we're to present day, and we see a kid riding their bike, and they ride it up to this spooky gate, and there's a ghost face, I guess, that scares him, that comes through the gate as he's looking at it, and he drops a bunch of ads for a real estate couple. So I guess he was like a paper boy type thing. I don't know why he had all these ads. I guess like he was like lettering the town with the ads, but it was like a child on a bike, so I don't know. But he drops them, and it's an ad for a real estate couple, Jim and Sarah Evers. And it's a picture of Eddie Murphy smiling so hard. And then it seamlessly fades into Eddie Murphy smiling so hard and talking to a couple in a house trying to sell it. And he is a workaholic, and he's not given enough time to his family, we find out pretty quickly, because his wife calls and is like, okay, we have, dinner at 7. And then he does other stuff. And he misses the anniversary, and he tries to make amends. He brings her a big old teddy bear with a nice little watch on it. But then he's like, you know what? We should just go on vacation this weekend. Let's go up to the lake and no work. And so she's like, hell yes, family time. Good job. And he goes upstairs to tell his kids he has a son and a daughter. And his son comes out of his room screaming, absolutely terrified, because there's a spider in his bedroom. And he cannot handle it, and he is losing his mind. Spiders are, spooky looking. They are creepy looking, and they move pretty fast. So I understand being afraid of them. I don't think I'm not terribly afraid of them. I didn't like them as a child also. I probably would have been not as vocally scared as this boy is, but in my heart, I would have been quite frightened. But now I respect spiders. As long as I don't really see them, I don't really care at all if they're everywhere. It's just a mutual respect. It's like, you don't touch me, I don't touch you, cool. And if I do see one and it's bothering me, or it's in the bathtub or something, I get a piece of paper, put it on the piece of paper, and I run as fast as I can to take it outside, hoping that it doesn't touch me, So I'm an adult. I'm a grown-ass woman. But this his son is not that way. He is afraid. But his daughter is a boss ass and comes in and just smashes it. No remorse. Megan. Megan is the daughter's name. Michael is the son's name. Sweet. So while all that's happening, his wife, Sarah Evers, is called by the occupants of Gracie Manor. And the manor is in the Louisiana Bayou. So we have another Louisiana Bayou movie, because only spooky things happen in Louisiana. And it's the butler on the phone, and he calls and stresses that he just wants Sarah to come, And she's like, well, I'm actually going on vacation with my kids, so I can't do it. But Jim hears her and is like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, we can stop on the way. So they do that. They stop on the way to their beautiful lake vacation at this spooky, spooky mansion. And yeah, they go up to the gate, and it is padlocked with a mouse head lock. Yeah. Easter egg for you. It's Mickey Mouse is the shape of the lock. For fun. I'm not a big Easter egg person. I don't care about them. which I appreciate. I'm happy for people that like them. Like, yeah, my disliking them doesn't mean that I dislike if other people enjoy them. That doesn't make any sense, you know? But I don't care about... Apparently there are 5 Mickey Mouse heads that show up in this movie, and I recognize that one, and that was it. That's it. But it happens 4 more times. So if you like Easter eggs, and you're watching the movie after this, there are 5. Have fun. So yeah, it's padlocked, the gate, so they can't get in. And they get back in the car, and suddenly the gate just opens. So, sure. None of them seem to be fazed by it. They're just like, no, okay, that's just the way it is. I guess it opens now. But yeah, they walk around this, like, grounds. It's so fucking scary. It's so gray. Everything's dead and nasty. The juxtaposition of Eddie Murphy, though excited, to the spookiness of the scenery is very enjoyable. It is a very fun time. They go around back and there's like a cemetery. And the kids are like, oh, that's dead bodies. That's not fun. And the mom's like, well, you know, some people have pools in the backyard and some people have private cemeteries. And then, of course, it starts to rain all of a sudden. And the front door opens up and it's got a... They have, right before the door opens up, Eddie Murphy is using the door knocker. And of course he makes a joke about what big knockers they have, so we're keeping it classy from the jump. And the door opens on its own, which is still a spooky. And they go in, and the kids say that it smells like Grandma's house. Well, I think Michael says it smells like Grandma's house, and Megan goes, worse, it smells like Grandma. Damn, dude. It's hard, dude. When you're old, you gotta be cleaning stuff. Man, that sucks. Some parts of our house smell like Grandma's house, because we fucking are lazy, and it gets dusty. But okay. Finally, the butler, Ramsley is his name, he appears, and he looks like a full dead body, and he says the owner wishes to discuss, selling the house over dinner. And the wife is like, no, we have plans. But of course, Jim is like, no, we can do it. We'll have some soup, and then we'll leave. Which I'm cooking soup right now. Y'all got a crock pot? I've been talking to everyone I know about fucking crock pots this week because I finally started using mine. We bought this bitch 2 years ago. And I've used it twice this week. And so send me your crock pot recipes. Cool. Alright, soup. Alright. So they go into the dining room, which the main room, what do you call that? The foyer? The entry room that they come into when they come into the house? It's super spooky and dusty and scary. But the dining room is really pretty and all lit up, and it's really ornate. There's this massive fireplace. It's very, very, really cool. And then we see Edward Gracie. And he is the owner of the mansion, and he looks a lot like the man from the opening titles who hung himself. So I guess we're supposed to know that he's a ghost right away, if you can remember faces. But honestly, I didn't remember that he was the guy in the opening. When I watched it, it took me a little while to figure it out. Well, a little while meaning another 5 minutes. But normal people who are good at paying attention to opening credits would have recognized his face. Great. So, we know something is up. It's either a distant relative who looks exactly like this dead man, or we know he's a ghost. So, yeah. He's just talking to them, and he's not really talking to them. He's only talking to Sarah. He only wants to talk to Sarah. And Jim can see that Edward is only talking to Sarah and has it bad for her. And so he's weirded out. Edward asks Jim finally, though, if he believes in ghosts. And he says, oh yeah, sure, but we shouldn't talk about that when we're trying to sell your house. We should talk about how many bathrooms you have. People love toilets. Let's go to the toilets angle. Very enjoyable. I love toilet humor. I love literal toilet humor. Tell me about toilets. They're funny. They're a hilarious invention that we made that is very useful, but so funny. Toilets. Okay, great. People love bathrooms. I do. I love a nice bathroom. What is it like? Okay, so it's raining and raining and raining while they're hanging out. Yikes. Bad choice of words. Trying again. Yeah, so the rainstorm, it floods the river, apparently, next to them. It is a bayou, so yeah, that makes sense. And Ramsley is like, all right, well, y'all are staying here. And they're like, oh, we don't want to do that. We should leave. And they're like, well, there's no other choice, so you're staying here. Bum, bum. The music does slap. The actual, score of this film is really fire. And I'll talk more specifically about one song later, so get excited. But yeah, the score is very cool. And I wonder if it's what they pipe in at the ride. I don't know. Somebody let me know who's been to the Haunted Mansion ride. So it turns out they're going to be sleeping in this spooky ass mansion tonight. Yay! So Ramsley shows them all to their rooms. The kids are staying in a room together. And then Sarah and Jim get shown to their room. Once they're alone, Sarah fucking unloads, right? Because she deserves to. And is like, Jim, you fucking suck. We should be at the lake right now having a nice family weekend. We're in this spooky ass mansion just because you wanted to sell this dumbass house. I do not care. We are doing well enough. And he's dumb. He's like, oh, well, you weren't complaining when I bring you home expensive gifts. Which is completely out of left field because at no point has she asked for any of the expensive gifts. He just brings them to her when he does stuff wrong. And so, that sucks. And so then Ramsley comes to the door and says that the master would like to see Jim to discuss in the library. So Ramsley takes Jim to the library and talks about a little bit about Gracie. And Jim is like, okay, what's that whole thing about him believing in ghosts? And Ramsley's like, oh, do you not believe in ghosts? And Jim's like, no, I absolutely do not believe in ghosts. And it's like, ooh. But then Ramsley is like, well, ultimately, the master just needs to move on from this house. And he leaves him alone there and says that Gracie will be there soon. These names are hard. Gracie and Ramsley. I don't know. Is that old English names? Any of my old English listeners, let me know if those are normal old English names. Gracie, not with an L, but Ramsley has an L. Okay. Anyway, they leave Jim alone in the room. Jim's alone in the library. And he's having a fun time, touching lots of stuff. He pushes on this little bust that's on the table, and its head moves, and it opens a secret door. And so, of course, he goes and looks inside the secret door, and the door closes behind him, and he gets trapped in a passage. And you can just hear him yelling from through the wall, will somebody push the head back? Eddie Murphy! Eddie Murphy is another, actor where it seems that nobody writes his lines for him. That they let him do whatever he wants. And that's sometimes the greatest thing you can do, and sometimes the worst thing you can probably do. Norbit is so bad. But a lot of the time, it's very fun. So, I'd like to think that he just yelled that through the wall. Okay, then we go and check on the kids, see what they're up to. They're hanging out in their room, and Michael finds a cute little music box with a fun little biracial couple dancing. Oh, I meant that was very important to say. Interracial couple. The couple in the beginning of the movie. It's a white man and a woman of color. That's important. So, now you know that if you didn't already. Alright, cool. So there's a fun little interracial couple dancing in this music box that Michael finds. And then behind him, we see a floating blue orb. And it freaks him out, which is extremely fair. And he yells for Megan, and she comes in, and she is less freaked out, but still ajar. And she's like, what? Then the orb, like, in its orb way, asks them to follow it. So they start to follow it out of the room. Okay, then we are back to see Sarah, and she's looking for her husband. She sees a maid in the hallway, but the maid looks at her and just, runs away. It's very funny. And then Ramsley finds her and says that he left Jim in the library. And so she goes to the library to find him, and she sees a man sitting in the chair. She starts apologizing and is like, I'm sorry, let's not fight anymore. But it's Gracie sitting there. And so that's ooh, eerie. Then Gracie is like, here, let me just give you a tour of the mansion. And he tells her the story of his grandfather who fell in love with a woman named Elizabeth, and that Elizabeth is the one that haunts the walls of the mansion. Now we're back to the kids who are following the orb into an elevator, which... When did elevators get invented? I don't understand. Would a electric elevator work? Is it electric? I don't know how it works. Because I'm assuming that all the light in this place, it seems like there's electricity, but it also seems like when these people died, there wasn't electricity. There are a lot of questions. I don't understand. But maybe it's ghost electricity. Maybe ghosts figured out electricity too. But they get into this elevator, and Michael is funny, and he makes a joke about it. He's like, we don't know if it's up to code. And they get inside, and the door closes, and he goes, this is against my better judgment. The kid is a king. He's a comedy king as well. I had a great time. Then we're back to see Jim, who is now wandering through the secret passageway with just a candelabra he happened to find. We don't get an explanation. He just suddenly has this massive fucking candelabra, and he's walking past all these spooky paintings and busts that every time he passes them, they turn and they're looking at him. And he gets to the end of a hallway, and there's this big old door, and it's creaking real loud, and he says it must be the termites. Some big ass termites. Yes. So he goes to open the door, and as he opens the door, we then see it transitions, and it's the kids opening a door as well. The transitions in the movie are very cool and fun. Everything flows into each other, in this very labyrinth type way of this house. The door, every time a door opens, usually we're in a different area, location, scene, and it's really cool. I do actually enjoy that. I think it's extremely clever. So we see the kids, they're opening a door, and then it goes back to Jim, who answers a ringing phone that was in the room of the place he just opened, and we see on the other side of the phone is Ramsley calling. Or it looks like Ramsley. It's just a gloved hand and a suit jacket. So I assume it's him. And he just hangs up. I guess it's to see if Jim has made it in there. I don't know. And when he hangs up, Jim turns and like looks in a mirror, and his fucking face is like melted and decomposed. It's very scary. I don't. It was very, very scary as a kid to see that. And he screams and is frightened. And then it goes back to the kids, who at this point have ended up in a like storage room. It seems like an attic type place. It just has like old furniture and everything's covered in like sheets, that sort of thing. And we see a portrait of a woman in like old, like Victorian garb. And she looks exactly like their mother. Like, exactly like their mother. And suddenly two servants appear in there. There's Emma, who is nice to them and offers them cookies. And Ezra, who is played by Wallace Shawn, which you probably know him from The Princess Bride, because I think every person has had to watch The Princess Bride at some point in their life. Whether you like it or not, it just seems to be one of those movies that most people have seen. He is like one of the bad guys and has a very fun voice and is small. But he is a footman, I think is the name of what they are. I'm not sure. I don't think I wrote it down. So he's stressed and scared. Doesn't want to be talking to them. But they tell the kids to hide really quickly because they hear Ramsley coming. And Ramsley appears. And he's who... he lets us know that he thinks Jim is an idiot and that the kids are a nuisance to the master's plan. And then he's like, if you find them, bring them to me. And he leaves. So we know that Ramsley is bad and hates everybody. But it seems that these two servants are nice. So fingers crossed on that. Okay, cool. Now we're back to Jim. And he leaves the room and finds Madame Leota, which is played by Jennifer Tilly. What an absolute queen. And it's the ghost of a gypsy whose head is encased in a crystal ball. She's just like a head inside a crystal ball. He says he is looking for a way out of there. And she's like, well, the only way out is from within. You know. She explains that there is a curse on the house and that he has to release her to save his family. And so he's like, who the fuck is her? And then he runs into Emma and Ezra and his children as he leaves that room, chased by some instruments. It's a very fun whirlwind of like, we're floating in the air as she is telling us about this curse. It would have been very cool in 3D. It's probably extremely cool on the ride. If this happens on the ride, I don't know, but it would be fun. I bet. So yeah, he runs into the servants and his kids, so they're all together now. Yay, all together. And the kids tell them the servants are ghosts, and he's like, no, they're not. And the kids are like, hey, we need to help them break this curse because Mom is in trouble. And he's like, huh? What? Mother is in trouble. Yeah, and so he sees the portrait that is of Elizabeth that looks exactly like his wife, Sarah. And so they go back to Madame Leota. And the performance Eddie Murphy gives of a distraught man before returning to Leota is just, mwah. It's just phenomenal. What a guy. Okay, so anyway, back to Mr. Gracie and Sarah, and he tells her that Elizabeth poisoned herself, and then his grandfather killed himself because they couldn't be together. But he was he wanted to marry her, and his family did not approve, and he was going to lose his inheritance in the house if he married her, but that he was willing to do it, but she killed herself, and so he killed himself too. Very like Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. But he says that his ghost, his grandfather's ghost, wanders the halls, and if you listen close, you can hear his heartbeat. Of course, it is then revealed that the mansion's inhabitants are ghosts, cursed a century by Gracie and Elizabeth's untimely deaths. So it's been a century, it's been 100 years. No, they didn't have electricity. What the fuck are they doing? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm upset. But it's done. Okay, yeah, so it's been a century. And they can only enter the afterlife when the lovers are reunited. Gracie, therefore, believes that Elizabeth is Sarah, like reincarnated somehow. I don't know. And Leota then sends the Evers to the mansion cemetery to find the key that will reveal the truth behind Elizabeth's death. So there's like some mystery behind her death. We're finding out that there's things we don't know. There are missing pieces of this puzzle. And Jim is like, okay, fine. I'll go get some key and then it'll be over. But how do I get out of this house? And Ezra says that they can always try to do it his way. And the next scene is immediately a ghost horse-drawn carriage busting through the fucking stone wall of the side of the mansion. It's incredible. It's bonkers. It's out of nowhere. It's like the side of the building just explodes. Sure. So they travel through the grounds, which the grounds are just littered with ghosts. Just tons of them. Michael cutely says, "Dad, I see dead people." Mwah, good job. And we find out that the ghosts think that the people can't see them. Because at one point there are two ghosts sitting in the carriage with them. And it scares Jim. And he's like, what are you doing? And the ghost is like, wait, can he see me? And the other ghost is like, nah, he can't see you. And he's like, yes, I can see you. Why are you in my lap? And the dude's like, it feels like he can see me. He's like, nah. It's very fun. That was very fun. I had a nice time, if you can't tell. Yep. So Gracie shows Sarah what was supposed to be Elizabeth's wedding dress, and that his grandfather was willing to give up his fortune to be with her. And so that's nice, but also spooky and weird. Their wedding dress is just like in the house already. That didn't make sense. Also, it's like, were they living together? I don't understand. Why was their wedding dress already there? Who knows? I guess, I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand what this whole thing was. Was it at their wedding that she died? See, I paid so much attention. I take so detailed notes, but then I miss like important things like that. Maybe that's why. They were at like a party before their wedding, but it was a masquerade ball. I don't understand. Maybe. I guess so. Yeah, that makes the most sense. Correct me if I'm wrong. I will happily be corrected. But okay. Then we're back to Jim and the kids, and they're walking through the cemetery, and they meet the famous singing bus. This is these 4 bus that are like a little singing quartet, and they're very fun. And we have a nice little time laughing with them, and they are not helpful at all. But they do end up finding the mausoleum without the bus help. And Megan can read the mausoleum because she took Latin, because she's a queen, and says it's a warning not to go in. So Jim goes in. And we see what I assume is Ramsley's arm watching him in Madame Leota's ball. We don't see if it's him. But it's a gloved hand and a suit jacket, so that seems to be our guy. So yeah, Jim's in the mausoleum, and Megan surprises him by following him. And when they're in the crypt, Jim and Megan find the key, but inadvertently, by taking the key off of this dead body, it causes zombies. So Jim gets spooked and drops the key down a grate. So Megan has to go under into the water to try and find it. And Jim tries to talk sense with the zombie at first, which is very enjoyable. But then he just ends up bopping its head off. So, that's fun. But then there's just a whole bunch more because mausoleums, I guess, don't just have one body in them. Makes sense. It is a very big place. Yeah. So Megan is swimming around and she finds the key, but it's surrounded by zombies. Yay. But Jim gets her out of the water and they run back up the stairs to the opening of the mausoleum, but as they get to it, the door slams shut between them and Michael as they try and exit. And then the door starts becoming covered in speed rays in spiders. There's spiders everywhere. So in this moment, I also would have been very uncomfortable because I have the thing of like, yeah, as long as I don't have to see you, I'm cool with you being wherever you need to be, Mr. Spider. But you got your whole gang out here. I don't feel as safe. So Michael's very scared, but he conquers his fear after his dad says that he's scared, that Jim himself is scared, and that it's okay. It's okay to be scared, but you can't let it stop you from doing what you need to do, which is beautiful, and I wholeheartedly agree. And so Michael opens the door like a true king, and they're back together. Yay! They're back at Leota, and she says that they have to go open a trunk, which makes Jim upset because he thought he just had to go get a key, and then that would be it. So instead of just going on some quest from her weird rhymes, he fully picks her up and takes her with him. And she's like, "Be careful, I'm fragile." And he's like, "I'm the one who's feeling fragile." Yes. Eddie fucking Murphy. So funny. Okay, so she leads them to a trunk that's in the attic, which Jim unlocks, and he finds a letter inside from Elizabeth to Gracie, revealing that she truly loved him and wanted to marry him, which let them know that she was murdered, that she wouldn't have killed herself. And of course, as soon as they find this out, Ramsley then appears and reveals he killed Elizabeth to prevent Gracie from abandoning his heritage, as he believed that their relationship was unacceptable. And he reveals his plot to kill Sarah and marry her off to Gracie to break their curse of being trapped there. Bonkers. That's a lot. And Jim, and he's like, "Are you serious? The butler did it?" Which is good. Yeah. So to hide the truth, Ramsley traps the children in the trunk and literally throws Jim out of the mansion, like through a window. And he like falls on his car. I do not understand how his back is not broken. But it's, Eddie Murphy is safe. Maybe a ghost kind of cushioned the fall. I'm not sure. Then we're back to as Gracie and Sarah are in the ballroom now. She's confused because he starts asking her if she recognizes him, and he's insistent that she is his beloved Elizabeth. And she's like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. My name is Sarah." And as he's like holding her and like talking to her, the room starts to fill with dancing ghosts and painted wings. Things I almost remember. Different movie, that's Anastasia. But you know what I'm saying. They're dancing people. Dancing ghosts if you're around them. That was my first movie in the theater. Anastasia. Okay, but the room is filled with these dancing ghosts. Gracie reveals he is a ghost himself. And Sarah is insistent that she is not Elizabeth. And this gives Gracie second thoughts. He's like, yeah, maybe she's fucking not Elizabeth. But then Ramsley is insistent that they have found her and that in time she'll remember. That she like just doesn't remember right now. It's okay. So we can see that Gracie isn't a bad guy, it seems. He had that doubt. He believed her. That's good. Ramsley is the pure evil of this home. Alright, so we're back outside with Jim, and he's trying to get in, but every time he smashes a window, it just like fixes itself. It's really spooky. I don't understand how the house itself, the mansion itself, is also like, I don't know, supernatural. But I don't know. None of this gets explained. It's just like, it's a curse. It's just a curse. This is what happens when things are cursed. They can just have electricity and windows that fix themselves because curse. Sure. Yeah, great. Ramsley blackmails Sarah into marrying Gracie in exchange for her children's safety. He like shows her like a vision of like them being trapped in the box, which I don't understand how he does that either. He doesn't have Leota or whatever with him. He just like can turn the air into a window into the trunk. It's bonkers. I don't understand. Whatever. But he's like super evil, so maybe he gets extra powers. I don't know. So yeah, she's like, okay, fine. I'll like anything to save my kids. That's really sad. Yeah. So he makes the servants get her ready, and she returns to the ballroom in the wedding dress, and she's crying. And this obviously bothers Gracie, but Ramsley's all like, tears of joy. And then we go outside, and Jim is crying outside. And Leota rolls up. Literally rolls up. And he says that everything is his fault. But she says it's never too late. You can try and fail, but the only true failure is when you stop trying. It's really good. It effectively encourages him, and Jim safety belts her into the front seat of their car, and he drives through the mansion's conservatory to get inside. And it's effective. That glass, I guess, could break. Yeah, so great. Now we're back inside, and the wedding begins as Jim runs to save his kids, but they're guarded by all these like suits of armor, and he mainly just like ducks all their hits, and it makes them hit each other, and he beats them, and he frees the kids just in time for the if anyone has any objections part of the wedding, which I don't think I've ever been to a wedding that has that in it anymore, but or I'm just I never hear it. It's very dramatic to have that. That's fun. I like drama. Maybe if I were to get married, I might stage make one of my friends object. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's just like, it's fun. Just me being on it. Well, now it's like spoiled because now I've talked about it. Now, if any of you come to my wedding, if I am to get married, you'll be expecting it. So. Damn it, Allie, you ruin fun stuff for yourself sometimes. That's okay. I'll think of something else to do. Okay, so yeah. He runs in at the objections parts, and he's like, I fucking object. And he confronts Gracie, and Gracie's like, back off. She's Elizabeth, and I'm in love with her. And he's like, she's not Elizabeth. And also, what happened isn't what you think happened. She didn't kill herself. She loved you. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, just read this fucking letter. And he gives him the letter, and it reveals the truth about her death and Ramsley's lies. And Gracie angrily confronts Ramsley, who rages at him about his selfishness for loving Elizabeth. And he summons wraiths to attack the group. I had to look up what the fuck these were. Wraiths. They're these bad spirits. They're mean demon things that swoop all around. They look like dementors. And they're swooping all around. Everybody's scared and getting wrecked. The whole ballroom's getting wrecked. But then a fucking dragon of fire comes out of the fireplace. And it picks up Ramsley, and as Ramsley's getting dragged away in this fire dragon, he grabs Jim's leg and is trying to take him with him. But luckily, Gracie grabs his hand and pulls him out from like this pit of hell, and they take Ramsley down into hell, I assume, to face eternal damnation for his sins. And then they think everything's cool, but then Sarah collapses because she got poisoned. She like took a drink of some wine and fucking Ramsley poisoned it. Just classic. Like, you can't be doing that twice, you know? You can't be pressing your luck with that same murder. But yeah, she collapses. But then that blue orb that the kids followed shows up. Blue ball. Oh no! Oh god. The blue orb shows up in it goes inside her body. And it's revealed to be Elizabeth's ghost. And Elizabeth and Gracie reunite and they kiss and it's weird. And then Sarah is revived somehow via magic. Blue ghost energy can take out poison from your body. And yeah, the curse gets lifted. And with it finally lifted, Gracie gives the Evers the deed to the mansion, and he departs to heaven with Elizabeth. And then Emma and Ezra come down, and they're like, ooh, we gotta leave. And it's really cute. And they leave, and all the mansion's people, we see a bunch of little blue orbs around the whole place flying up into the sky. And then it's like early in the morning, and we see the Evers are driving across the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway to go to the lake, finally, I assume. And we see that they are accompanied by Leota. And they have the 4 singing bus for no reason are attached to the back of the car. And then the credits roll. Oh. And here's the song I want to talk about. It's the credit song. The credit song is You by Nelly. Oh my gosh. Nelly was like, Nelly was the most famous I think he's ever been at this time, the early 2000s. And this song is bonkers because it samples the People's Court theme song. The dun 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 dun. And literally, why? Why is that the credit song? It's so crazy. Oh, it's amazing. Okay. Oh, there's a post-credit scene in this one. It's Leota. It's the little head in the... Why didn't she get to leave? That sucks. Now I'm sad. But it's her. And she says goodbye to the audience. And she invites them to join the dead. She says, hurry back. Be sure to bring your death certificate. We've been dying to have you. Which apparently it's dialogue from the actual Disneyland attraction. So... makes more sense. And then that's the end of the movie. What a dream. Alright, cool. Rotten Tomatoes, 13%. Fuck! It's so low! 13%? That sucks! And then Letterboxd is 2.4 out of 5 stars. So it's a little better. That's like almost 50%. Apparently it didn't do that great in our box office, the US box office. It did much better internationally. It had like 100 million of the 182 is from international box office sales. So it did a lot better, not here. Great. Apparently there is a new adaptation in the works. At one point, it was like announced in like 2010 that Guillermo del Toro was going to co-write an adaptation of Haunted Mansion because he went and saw the original and just had a nice time and wanted to make another one. I don't know. But we nothing really came of it. Maybe it's still happening. But the latest update was actually in August of this year, August 28th. And it has writer Katie Dippold attached to it. They're going to do a new live-action remake of Haunted Mansion with her as the writer. And she wrote the Ghostbusters reboot. So maybe it'll be ladies. I don't know. Yeah. This I had a great fucking time. I had a really fun time. I recommend watching Haunted Mansion. I remember being scared of it when I was a kid, but thinking that those busts were the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Those singing busts were so funny. They were less enjoyable as an adult. They were pretty annoying. But I can only imagine how cool they are in real life, because apparently they do look like that. So that's sick. These animatronic cement busts that sing songs to you. It's fun, probably. But yeah, I really liked it. I recommend watching it. If you haven't seen it in a long time, or if you've never seen it, it's real fun. I think it deserves much better than 13%. Fuck, that sucks. That's so low. What? It's definitely better than all the Twilights. It's easily better than all the Twilight Saga. Without a doubt. Oh my god, those are so trash. It's fun, it's dumb, but it's really cool. The special effects are extremely cool, especially for 2003. It holds up. The special effects hold up really well, because they use like a combination of like practical effects with some CGI, and it's Disney, so like yeah, it was fucking top notch. It's so cool. I would love to actually get to see, I guess, the Haunted Mansion ride. I think it's so wild that, yeah, this is a movie based on a theme park attraction ride. What a world we live in. And then it's the fifth one based on a theme park attraction ride. Wild. Yeah, do I relate? Oh yeah, do I relate? That's the point of my podcast. Yeah, I related to Michael pretty hard, of being very, very, really scared. Because that would have been me. Very, so scared. I can't fuck with, like, haunted houses and stuff at all. Like, even, like, the fun, fake ones. No, not at all. In no world would I ever go into one. Pay money to go into a haunted house. Nope. Can't do it. Not interested. There's no point for me in my mind. Yeah, but that's about it as being just like an afraid person, afraid kid. But yeah, that's just like the one aspect I related to. It's really funny. It's fun. I really liked seeing people of color in the lead, and it's a Disney film, and they're a family, a diverse family. They got different shades in there. And yeah, they're the heroes. And that's fucking awesome. It's 2006. I guess, yeah, that would have been my first, like, live action Disney movie I saw in the theater with people who looked like me. And that's awesome. So I appreciate it for that, definitely. Yeah, cool. Great. I hope everybody has a super fun Halloween weekend. They stay safe. Stay safe. Eat so much candy if you want. Do whatever you want, like candy, eat a bunch of candy, eat a whole cake, get you some ice cream. I have this pumpkin roll ice cream I bought from Louisville Creamery that I have been saving, and I'm gonna fucking tear it up. I'm so excited. I love pumpkin rolls. Oh my god. I love pumpkin rolls. So, yeah. And my Halloween costume is going to be the hint as to the next movie I am doing. So if you follow me on social media, you'll probably see that this weekend, and you will know what is coming up next. It's gonna be a fucking doozy, and I already regret it, but I am committed for some reason. Nobody's making me do any of this. This is all me. So get ready. I don't know that I am. I don't think I'm ready, but we're gonna fucking do it, and I'm stoked. Yeah. So yeah, I'll see you next week with the beginning of possibly the end. Well, the beginning of the end in a way, for sure. And in a way that I think we'll all appreciate. But not the end of the podcast. It's okay. I don't think it'll be over. Maybe this next choice I'm making will make me want to quit making these. I don't think so. Nothing's really made me want to quit making these forever. Yeah, thanks for listening. I've been your friendly neighborhood fat friend, Allie. I would, what would I do to show my love from this film? I would manifest a fire dragon out of a Renaissance fireplace for you anytime. So that's how much I love you. All right, I'll talk at you next week. Bye.